The efforts of homemakers are often downplayed and under-acknowledged. Throughout history, all the way into this very moment, homemakers, including myself, have been told that their work isn't work at all. But I'm here to tell you that homemakers are skillful at managing, have a broad set of both hard and soft skills, and are masters of efficiency. So today and every day, I'm ignoring the naysayers and I want to share some tips on how to increase your scratch cooking efficiency skills. And along the way, I'll also share a story about a mom of 12 who was also recognized as one of the greatest efficiency experts of our time. In the spirit of efficiency, let's dive right into my first tip for scratch cooking efficiency, which is to make easier whole grain and bread products. Making homemade bread and homemade sourdough is not difficult, but it does require a bit of planning. So if you are in a busy season of life like we are right now, an efficient way to provide whole grains and bread for your family is through quick recipes. Not only am I trying to increase efficiency by using quick recipes, but I'm also trying to increase efficiency by making something really nutritionally dense. Fresh milled grains contain more nutrients than pre-milled flour, so it's an efficient way to increase the overall nutrition in our diet. Now, never mind that I'm filling it with cheese and I'm going to serve it with bacon. That's a different conversation. I am making einkorn cheddar drop biscuits and I'm using my new grain mill. So I just posted a video with an unboxing and a review about my new Mockmill grain mill. So you can check that out. I'll leave a link in the description box below for that. These biscuits are a combination of 2 cups of freshly milled einkorn flour, 3 teaspoons of baking powder, about 2 teaspoons of salt, 1 cup of full fat Greek yogurt, 4 tablespoons of butter shredded, and then I added probably about a half a cup or so of shredded cheddar cheese. So first I'm just mixing the dry ingredients together, and then I am adding in the Greek yogurt and cutting the butter in like I would any other biscuit. And after I cut the butter in, I like to use my hands a little bit to get that mixed up. The little pastry cutter, it does work, but I feel like nothing really works like your hands. So once the butter is cut in, then I'm also adding in the cheddar cheese. Now back to the butter really quickly because I almost forgot. I do want to note that I didn't even worry about freezing that butter. If the name of the game is efficiency, then I just want to take the butter from the fridge and put it right into the biscuits, and it worked just fine. And that's because these are drop biscuits. They don't rely on any rolling, they don't rely on any cutting, and really the goal isn't to have a light flaky biscuit, it's more of a dumpling sort of style. Once the ingredients are incorporated, I am just putting them into a ball-like shape into a preheated cast iron skillet and baking them, I think for about 15 minutes on 425. Next time, I think I would bake these at 400. 425 was good and it made the bottoms nice and crispy, and I kind of liked how it had some burned cheese, but it might be a little too toasty for some preferences, so 400 is probably a good happy medium there. So from start to finish, these homemade whole grain biscuits were done in 20 minutes. And then to increase my own efficiency, I actually made these the night before and served them for breakfast the next day so we could have a scratch-made breakfast with very little hands-on time. Efficiency by definition is the ability to achieve a goal with little to no waste, effort, or energy. Now, of course, there is no day of homemaking that uses no effort or energy. It's filled with effort and energy, but no one knew how to reduce that effort and energy like Lillian Muller Gilbreth. Lillian Muller Gilbreth was the real-life wife and mother from the story Cheaper by the Dozen, which was first a book published in 1948 and then was adapted into a film in 2003 that you're probably more familiar with. It starred Steve Martin and Hilary Duff. In real life, Lillian and her husband were efficiency experts. Now, her expertise in efficiency was severely downplayed in the book, and honestly, I'm not even sure if I've seen the movie, so I don't even know if that is touched on in the movie. But she was not only a mother of 12, she was also one of the greatest efficiency experts of our time. Though she claimed herself to not be a homemaker, she worked out of the home and was wildly successful, especially for her time. She knew that the home was not set up for efficiency. So after the passing of her husband, she reset her sights on making the home more efficient for women and mothers especially. She spearheaded many efforts in what we now know as modern organizational psychology, and much of that is parallel with her focus on, quote, domestic management. I'll get back to her story in a minute because I want to share with you my next efficiency tip. But before I get into that, I do want to note that if you just scan your kitchen right now, you can probably see about a half a dozen things that she invented to make our lives as homemakers more efficient and manageable. My second tip for efficiency is to clean the kitchen after every meal. Lately, I have been in a really bad habit of letting the mess build up in the kitchen all day, and then at night, after my daughter goes to bed, I try to clean it up. And not only does it take me an hour to clean up, but also I can't even get all the dishes in the dishwasher. So then I have mess waiting for me in the morning, which then piles onto a whole other mound of mess on top of it later on. So cleaning after every meal is something I'm trying to be better about, and it really saves a lot of time. If it takes 10 minutes for you to clean your kitchen 3 times a day, that's 30 minutes. But if it takes you an hour to clean it 1 time a day and you have mess waiting for you in the morning, which is another 20 or 30 minutes, it just takes a lot longer to do it that way. So even though it feels like cleaning your kitchen after every single meal is more work, it's actually much more efficient in the long run. And it just keeps the rhythm and the flow of things moving. Now, when I clean the kitchen after every meal, it's not an entire scrub down, but I do put the dishes in the dishwasher, swap them out if I need to, wash the cutting board if that's necessary, and wipe down the counters. I'm not necessarily wiping off the stove and cleaning the burners every single time, but I am just getting the surfaces and the dishes ready to go. So that way, when it's time to cook again for lunch or dinner, for example, it's just clean, ready to go, and there's no fuss about it. My third tip is to set bulk prepping goals for short-term efficiency and long-term efficiency. So I'll get to the long-term part in a minute. In the short term, I'm trying to make after-school snacks more efficient and healthier in my house. So I am putting together a little snack pack of crackers, cheese, nuts, and craisins. And I actually am putting these together because I saw the pre-packaged type at the store recently, but they're really expensive, and I had all the things to make them myself. So I'm just putting them in this little bluey bento box for my daughter. And that makes snack time way more efficient because I prepped a bunch of them, put them in the fridge, and now I can just grab them whenever I need them throughout the week. Adding on to this, it's not really tip number 4. It's more like tip number 3.5. Make your bulk prep more efficient. So I recently published a Sunday reset video where I chopped up a bunch of vegetables for the week, and I'm doing the same thing here. But when I was chopping these carrots and celery, it dawned on me that I have a food processor. Why am I even doing this by hand? That is so much faster. So use the tools at your disposal. We are so lucky that we are alive in 2024 and we have all of these tools and this technology that can do a ton of work for us. So while I more efficiently chop these peppers and onions for the week, let's get back to our story about Lillian Muller Gilbreth. Her goal was to increase efficiency for women and mothers in the home so they could have more space and opportunity outside of the home. And within that, she created the modern kitchen where we operate in a triangular shape to increase efficiency. And you can see this in many modern kitchens. It's where the points of work, the sink, the stove, and the refrigerator create an imaginary triangle so you can more efficiently and quickly move throughout the kitchen. She invented the step trash can so you didn't have to worry about opening a lid and putting the trash in. She also invented drawers and shelves in the refrigerator door. She invented the wall light switch. All of these things that we take for granted every single day were actually inventions by a mother for homemakers. Now, like a lot of representations of homemakers, the representations of Lillian Muller Gilbreth in Cheaper by the Dozen, at least the book, again, I'm not 100% sure about the movie, really downplayed her intelligence and what she offered women, and in a lot of cases made her look like some sort of bumbling fool. But it was written in a different era when women and homemakers were portrayed differently, and it was also written by 2 of her children. So their memories and experiences with their mother might be be, of course, very different than what she was doing when she was working in efficiency studies and her wildly impressive career. She accomplished more than what I could ever talk about in one YouTube video. I will leave some links and resources about her in the description box below. Back to efficiency and bulk prepping. So another part of bulk prepping and efficiency for me is thinking long-term. There is a lot of talk and conversation about how to make this moment easier, which yes, is important. But since I've started preserving my own food, it has really become apparent how helpful it is to have extra food around for a later date. And I don't mean stockpiling or prepping. I'm not a prepper. What I mean is having some of your family's favorite foods stashed away for when times are tough, when you're in a major pinch and you just don't have the time. This for me is one of the greatest ways to increase my efficiency later. It does take some time in the moment to bulk prep, say, a batch of pancakes. These are einkorn pancakes that I made here. And it does take time to can tomatoes and freeze dry things. But later down the road, say 6 months or even a year later, I have that food ready to go, and sometimes it just takes a matter of 1 or 2 minutes to get it on the table. For me, there's a balance to this sort of efficiency. It is less efficient for me to grow my own food and preserve it than it is just to order it off of Instacart and have it delivered. But we also have to consider where our need for efficiency and our values intersect. I value having fresh, local, and hopefully homegrown food, and I value having that all year long. And that is more important to me than having a quick meal any given day of the week. So to increase my own efficiency to meet my values for my family, it works for me to preserve a bunch of food so that way I have it when I want it and need it. And as a side note, I'd just like to say that in the moment that I said my values, a big bottle of whiskey popped up on the screen. I mean, I'm not saying that's not my values, but it's not my number one value. Now, one thing that does help when it comes to scratch cooking is to make sure you have the right tools. And this bread bag is pretty sweet. So this is not a sponsored post or anything like that. I just want to share this with you. This is a linen bag that is lined with plastic. So that way, when you make homemade bread, sandwich bread in particular, you can store it in there and it won't go stale. And what I like about having products like this is it makes all of my effort worth my time. Nothing makes me angrier than making a loaf of bread and then it goes stale. So having the right tools in place can be really helpful. The absolute least efficient thing you can do is make a bunch of food, make bread, and then not eat it and have it go to waste. Because food waste is never cool and it's also a huge waste of time. And I've talked a lot about this on my YouTube channel, that time is our most valuable asset. My last tip for efficiency is to do what you can when you can. And I'm not saying you have to squeeze everything into tiny moments of your day, but if there are things that you can do that will make your life easier or honor the value of your time and efforts in and around your home, take advantage of that. That's what I am trying to do here with these peppers from my garden. Our garden is a huge mess. First it was a drought, then it was Tropical Storm Debbie. Everything got knocked over. It's like the hottest of hot messes. But I am taking out what I can, and it's not things that we are going to eat right now, but in just a pocket of time, I'm chopping up some peppers, I'm putting them on a plate and flash freezing them so that way they won't freeze together, and putting them in bags. So that way later on down the road, when I want some garden fresh vegetables in the middle of January, I have them. And that honors the hard work that we have put into our garden. It intersects with our values for homegrown and fresh food. And it is a great way to be efficient in the moment with a few things that need to be done around the house. I hope this video has offered you some ideas and inspiration for efficiency in the home, but more than anything else, I hope it serves as a reminder that as homemakers, we are doing amazing and important work. Thanks so much for stopping by Moon and Magnolia's YouTube channel, where we elevate the everyday from scratch and at home, and I'll see you again next time.